No, instead of getting married to him, we got married to the government.
Perhaps that's why 68% of them voted Democrat this time as well. Fascinating.
Next video loading.
People have no idea what would happen to society if we decide one day to self-segregate from one another. How the powers that be can actually influence the totalitarian dystopia they want to create so they can keep us all under their thumb. The dystopian future of a society bereft of a reason to exist is about 10 years or less into the future, and we don't seem to bother now. In today's society, the laws have favored females, leaving the males without any incentive to formalize a relationship with them.
I talk to men across the United States on my blog. I run a men's rights blog, and I've worked with men for over 20 years in my private practice. And what I found is that men say that it's the legal ramifications. They don't have any legal rights in marriage anymore. There's something called coverture, and what it is used to men held all the cards in marriage, and they held the legal rights. Now women do. And if you look at it, men, when they get divorced, they only get custody of children 10% of the time.
Even if the woman's cheating?
If the woman's cheating, and if that's not your child, most states say you still have to pay. You find out 3 years later your 3-year-old isn't yours, you still have to pay in most states.
The rate of marriage has declined tremendously and doesn't seem to stop. Now more than ever, males have many ways to entertain and self-indulge, so they aren't pursuing any academics or relationships that can hinder their hedonistic lifestyle of living. Technology has made it possible for both male and female to be self-reliant, and it seems that the future generations might not have the need to build up families. Young adults have decided to stay longer in their parents' household, well past their 18th birthday. So the increase of single motherhood had made it possible for them to stay codependent on their provider as far as the 35th birthday. A recent study conducted by Morgan Stanley Financial suggests that more than half of women of marriageable age by year 230 will be single and childless for the rest of their life. If you look at social media, all that they are promoting is individualism and conceitedness. The powers that be are prepping for a new way of life, the freedom people have fought for throughout history. Now that we have it, the new generation is rejecting it. Technology is something wonderful when used to support us as human race. However, it stopped being so impressive when used to replace us. I'm afraid that exactly where we're heading with the next 10 years or so. What can we do to prevent the coming changes, of course, to be our new normal? How can we prevent the new reset from happening, since the impending doom of the living quote-unquote happy as that of not owning anything and renting for the rest of our life? Indeed, Ronald Reagan's one generation away from freedom speech is unfolding before our eyes.
Now let's set the record straight. There's no argument over the choice between peace and war, but there's only one guaranteed way you can have peace, and you can have it in the next second: surrender. Admittedly, there's a risk in any course we follow other than this, but every lesson of history tells us that the greater risk lies in appeasement. And this is the specter our well-meaning liberal friends refuse to face, that their policy of accommodation is appeasement. And it gives no choice between peace and war, only between fight or surrender. If we continue to accommodate, continue to back and retreat, Eventually, we have to face the final demand, the ultimatum. And what then? When Nikita Khrushchev has told his people he knows what our answer will be. He has told them that we're retreating under the pressure of the Cold War, and someday, when the time comes to deliver the final ultimatum, our surrender will be voluntary, because by that time, we will have been weakened from within spiritually, morally, and economically. He believes this because from our side he's heard voices pleading for peace at any price, or better read than dead, or as one commentator put it, he'd rather live on his knees than die on his feet. And therein lies the road to war, because those voices don't speak for the rest of us. You and I know and do not believe that life is so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery. If nothing in life is worth dying for, when did this begin? Just in the face of this enemy? Or should Moses have told the children of Israel to live in slavery under the Pharaohs? Should Christ have refused the cross? Should the patriots at Concord Bridge have thrown down their guns and refused to fire the shot heard round the world? The martyrs of history were not fools. And our honored dead, who gave their lives to stop the advance of the Nazis, didn't die in vain. Where then is the road to peace? Well, it's a simple answer after all. You and I have the courage to say to our enemies, there is a price we will not pay, there is a point beyond which they must not advance. Winston Churchill said the destiny of man is not measured by material computations. When great forces are on the move in the world, we learn they're spirits, not animals. He said there's something going on in time and space and beyond time and space, which, whether we like it or not, spells duty. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
1 year ago, Michigan reported its first case of COVID. But 1 year ago also marks the anniversary for the beginning of the confiscation of our God-given, inalienable rights and the willing abdication of our freedom. Let us not forget the immortal words of Ronald Reagan when he said, the loss of freedom was only one generation away.
And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man.
Our founding fathers here in this country brought about the only true revolution that has ever taken place in man's history. Every other revolution simply exchanged one set of rulers for another set of rulers. But only here did that little band of men so advanced beyond their time that the world has never seen their like since evolve the idea that you and I have within ourselves the God-given right and the ability to determine our own destiny. But freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
And we seem hopeless to the vision of losing what we had fought for. My opinion, now that we have access to the internet, although most social medias are controlled by the power that be, we need to do what we can to spread the word about what's coming and be informed of trends society have. I think that we have opened a Pandora's box that we can't close. And as we come close to the inevitable end of the elitist, we should brace ourselves and prepare for what's coming. We have some people that might be against it. And if you are one of them, you should be able to prepare for that by buying a house, buying a property, returning back to the suburbs, and learning how to live off the land. I would never suggest something that I haven't had done myself. At this point in my life, that's exactly what I have done. You should be moving to places that are more traditional and stay away from the cities. Most cities have restrictions on growing food and raising poultry, which is our main source of food. Utilities like water and electricity are at an all-time high. So we need to learn how to make better use of that. Figure out a water source is indispensable to know, as well as using evergreen sources of energy. The last pandemic should have been a wake-up call. Whether this event has been planned, induced, provoked, or not, we mustn't forget that we are all entropic energy systems. We will always require some sort of outside source in order to outpace entropic decay. And I am afraid that as a whole, society has put us in some type of comfort zone intentionally, that we have forgotten basic skills in order for us to survive. And when those controls fail to provide us with our most basic needs, people start rebelling. Look around where you live and ask yourself, do you have the most essential needs required for you to survive? Do you know how to filter water or start a fire without a lighter? Are you mobile? Do you know how to store food? Do you know how to grow your own food? Most of the population doesn't have those skills. Society has ill-equipped us. And instead, we have grown accustomed to a system that can fail at any moment. It is up to you to start learning about those skills that will help you how to survive. Essential skills like auto mechanics to keep you mobile, maintaining your property to keep you sheltered, and gardening so you can grow your own food are skills necessary for you to survive. Unfortunately, most of us aren't equipped with those skills, therefore they leave you hopeless in the system. If you'd like to learn more about this topic and how can you be able to segue your way through these transition times, hit the like button, subscribe, and share this content. Because the next years, it's going to be a roller coaster. And if you're not prepared, you might fall off the rail. Start conversations with people about this topic. The more you share, the better prepared we'll be. Thanks.